and I'm bringing you this video, and this video talks about series connections in solar, not only solar but batteries as well. And the title is basically why it sucks. 24 volt in series connections, why they suck. Now, I'm making this video well aware of the benefits of 24 volts because there are some benefits to 24 volts or higher series connections. One of which is when you have series connections and higher voltages. Basically, if you have a run or a long run, cable run, with a higher voltage, you lose. There are less losses, which is a benefit. The other reason is the efficiency. You know what I'm saying? Your appliances will run more efficiently and use half of the amperage than it would in a, let's say, 12 volt system. Okay. Now that being said, other than if you're not using really really high amperage appliances, overall I would say that series connections suck. Part of the reason with series connections is this. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say you have four 12-volt batteries. You have them in parallel, and you have a 12-volt inverter. So you have these four. Let's say they're 100 amp hour batteries, and they're all in parallel. You have a 12-volt system with 400 amp hours, and your system works. Let's say one of the batteries goes bad. You can remove it, and your system still works. You have reduced amperage, obviously, because one of the batteries went bad. But now you have, instead of 400 amp hours, you have 300 amp hours to work with. Mind you, yes, I am aware that you can only use up to 50% if you're using lead acid or AGM. Doesn't apply to lithium. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is, when you have a system in parallel, and a 12-volt system, if a battery goes bad, you can continue functioning. If you have a solar system and you have your panels in parallel, yes, you're gonna need thicker cable. But if one of the panels goes bad, your system doesn't basically drop off the map. It's the same thing. You have a 1,000-watt solar array, and one of the panels goes bad. If it's all in parallel, okay, you have a reduction in your amperage, but you still have the proper voltage. You still can function. Not the same thing with a 24-volt system or a series type connection. If you have a series connection and half of your array gets shaded, or one solar panel gets shaded on your array, your reduction in power is going to be significant. If you have a battery bank in series, and if you have a battery bank in series and that battery bank, let's say one battery goes bad, now instead of removing the bad battery, no, you have to remove both batteries, a bad one and a good one, just because you have a 24-volt system in series. You see what I'm saying? um I think I look at solar in a very practical fashion. I want it to work. I don't give a damn, if anything happens, I can't afford it not to work. In an emergency, in a grid down scenario, you can't afford for things to fail, So I look at a 12-volt system more of a reliable system, more of a system that can handle, an issue happening, you know. Um, I think that series systems have their benefit, but at the same time, that's the problem. I mean, you're basically doing a series connection, but now each battery is codependent to the other one. So one failure in one battery is gonna turn into a bigger failure. I don't like that. I'd rather spend a little extra and have thicker cables. I mean, that's just how I see it. Now, if you have a long run, like let's say you have a field and I don't know half a mile away and you have to do a run, all the way to your house or your cabin or whatever, then yeah, I understand the whole higher voltages. But right now, I mean, I have my system on my roof and I have the cables basically coming in through windows and stuff, you know. I mean, what is it? 25 feet, 25 foot run. I'm not gonna do series, especially here in Puerto Rico. That I've noticed sometimes, we get a lot of sun, but we do there's a lot of clouds too. And sometimes there are houses next door that will cast a shade on your system. Like in my roof in particular, the house next door has like a building. So when the sun, is at a certain spot at a certain time, I lose out on certain amount of sunshine on a couple of the panels because of the shading issue, which would be a big problem had I built my system and did the panel connections in series rather than in parallel. Right now in parallel, okay, one of my panel shades too. Okay, I get a little bit of a drop. It's not a big deal, you know. So that's why I do not like. I have never liked the whole series connection. And like I said, there are reasons to use it. There are situations. There are, for example, if you do things in series, you can actually save a lot on a charge controller. When you do things in parallel, you need a bigger charge controller or multiple charge controllers. I've gone that route, with multiple charge controllers. But I like I said, I like the redundancy. I like feeling that my system, you know, um, isn't gonna go down because of part of it. Part of it maybe failed, you know. So that's why I believe, the title is, in a way, it's kind of a little bit. I don't want to say that it's misleading because that's what I really feel. I feel series connections suck in certain aspects, but then again, somebody can do a video and say, well, parallel connections suck because of this and that, you know. um I believe, I feel safe with the lower voltages. I'm not an electrician, I don't plan on it. I mean, I've been doing solar for a while and I have a little bit of knowledge, but I'm not an electrician. So if I, due to the fact that I'm doing everything DIY, I feel safe with 12 volts. I feel relatively safe. I know I'm not going to get a shock. I'm a little bit afraid of 24 volts. I am. You know what I'm saying? I have heard people that have said 24 volts is still low power, and but like I said, I mean, to each his own. But that's those are my thoughts regarding series connections and parallel connections. So, leave your comments, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or you disagree, and I mean, I don't claim to know it all. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you have some information or some reasoning as to why you like series more than parallel. But I hope this brings some insight to people who are doing their DIY solar systems. So those are just my thoughts, guys. Take care.